Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about else statements. Else statements are simply an add-on to if statements. Now before I get into the video, I do want to mention something that I should have said inside of the introduction video, and this is to encourage you to code more. Now I have a friend who, when he started coding, he did something very unexpected. I didn't think I just didn't expect it. I didn't expect anybody to do it. And of course he quit shortly after. But I was teaching him for a short bit and he quit shortly after. But he was taking notes. He was taking notes and trying to memorize stuff like they were terms in English class. Now, personally, I do love English class, but you should not be taking notes. Notes can discourage you, and notes are just simply boring. Or at least that's what I think. If you think they are boring, then don't take notes. If you do think they are boring, or if you don't think they are boring, then, feel free to take notes. But I would highly suggest not taking notes. Now, you do need a substitute for this, and here's the rub. Do this whether you're taking notes or you're not taking notes. Every tutorial, you should be following along. You should be writing the same thing that I'm writing. But also, after the video, you should be playing around with the code that you've written. Changing up the values, like instead of a 5, put 7, or maybe have more quotation marks. Just play around with it, and it'll really allow you to memorize it in a easier, faster, and more productive way. Not only are you memorizing how to do it, you're also gaining experience, and that allows it so that when you're coding, syntax is just the actual code you're writing, looks less scary. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into the video. Alright, so starting where we left off, when we run the code, nothing happens. It doesn't print anything. Now that is because we have int a, it equals to 1, and it's testing if int a is equal to 5. And if it is 5, then it prints out it is 5, but it's not 5, right? So, it doesn't do anything. But what if we wanted to do multiple things? So, let's go over to this if statement and set it to 1. And when we run this code, it'll print it is 5 because it's testing. It's testing if integer a is equal to 1, then it's going to print out it is 5. Now let's change this to it is 1 because that statement is inaccurate. So my apologies, there's something wrong with my throat today. It's producing a lot of mucus or something. It's making me hard to talk. I'm not sure. I'm not sick. I don't think I have allergies, but whatever. So it is equal to 1. Now, what if you want to say something if it's not equal to 1? Well, that's where else statements come in. So to create an else statement, just simply create a space, type in else, and you don't need parentheses actually. And then you create another line, whoops, and you create more brackets. Now, in this else statement, we can type out system.out.print it is not 1. Let's just keep this at lowercase. Now, if we run it, it'll still say it is 1. That is because int a is equal to 1, so it'll say it is 1. And once it tests that, and if it is true, then it'll run. So, okay, let's back up a bit. Int is equal to 1, so this if statement tests if it's 1. If it is 1, then it'll run whatever's in here, and it will not execute anything that is attached to this if statement. The things that are attached right now is this else statement. It will run whatever's below here because it's not attached. So this system.out will run, but it won't run any of this, simply because you've tested this and it was valid, so it runs whatever's in here, and therefore it skips this piece of code and it runs this instead. Now, if this were not true, if int a were equal to 2, then it will skip any code in here, and it will move directly onto this else statement. Now the else statement will simply run this. Now the else statement always goes at the end of an if statement. Why is this? Well, this is basically saying, well, if none of the conditions were true for this if statement, then by default we're just gonna do the following code. That's what this else statement is. So when we run the code, because integer a is equal to 2, and it tests if integer a is equal to 1, but it's not 1, it's 2, so it's going to say it is not 1, because it's running the code in here instead of the code in here, because by default it runs the code in here if integer a is not equal to 1. Now, that's it. That's all it is. And I hope this taught you something. Again, make sure to play around with this code, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.